Um, so typically back in the day, when I first started doing this, people would come after for their reintegration, and they would, I would inform them, hey man, don't look at them, don't talk to them, don't touch them, and all that. And no, I'm not. That's not my thing anymore. I've switched it to where like I want you guys to have your moment with him because it's been 3 weeks since you've seen him. So have your moment, be excited, and what's up, Tiger, right? But here's a little bit of moving forward information. And this is especially concerning your guests, because every guest that comes into your home is going to see him and lose their minds because he's the cutest little dog in the world, right? But if we're kind of thinking in reference to like how dogs learn, and if we're trying to think about like a strategy that's going to sort of help him be a little bit more of a calm dog and understand what it means for somebody to walk through the door, the last thing that I want my guests or even myself to do is to just have this big explosion of excitement with him. Because the way that the dog perceives this is that, okay, when I see you, I just lose my mind and I start jumping up on you. And what we're trying to do is get him realize that it's just a person walking through the door, that's not an invite to like lose my mind and jump and be a psycho. I want to teach him to be a little bit calmer. So typically the strategy is I'm going to wait a little bit until he sort of starts to calm down. And one of the ways that we help him get there quicker is by engaging less, right? Like if you look at him, talk to him, or touch him while he's already super lit, that's what we call externally reinforcing a behavior that we may complain about later, right? He's jumping up on me and like, grrr. So that's basically saying to him, yeah, dude, it's cool for you to just jump up on me and jump up on the guests. Does that make sense? So all I'm asking if is as soon as he calms down a bit, then I'll give him affection. Because I want to show him that when you're chilling, bro, that's the rewardable offense, not when you're being a psychopath. Yeah. That's a really cool sweater, by the way. Almost time to take that sucker off. Isn't it a nice day today? Happy dog. Happy dog. So that's just one of the first things that comes to my mind when it comes to this reintegration thing, is because that's typically the first thing that happens. You guys walk in, you have your moment, and I didn't want to take that away from you again because, dude, I haven't seen him in 3 weeks. So that's why I allow it now, and I'm not telling you before you get here to just ignore him because, dude, I haven't seen my dog in 3 weeks. I don't want to ignore him. You know what I mean? But just moving forward, this is something to consider as far as that's concerned. Easy peasy. It's a little harder to enforce this than it actually is to understand the concept of it. You know what I mean? It's a pretty simple concept, but super important one because the dogs learn that way. They learn through patterns. And if the pattern is when I come home, you're allowed to lose your mind, and I reinforce that by touching you and that's how he's learning that that's okay. And then there's days that you come home and you don't want him to jump on you and you're mad at him for it, but you've been teaching him this. You know what I'm saying? So this is where I talk about like clarity. I'm being very clear to him in this capacity so that he understands and there's no confusion. When I come home, he'll be excited. But what my dog does now, because I've gone through, nothing I teach is nothing I've not gone through myself. So Rosie, she's a bigger dog, and she'll jump up and goose my face.
Rosie's so cute.
Thank you. That's my heart right there. So I come home, and because I taught her what we're talking about right now, I'd be like, what's up, kid? I'd bend over, and she'd boop, like bink me in the face. And then all of a sudden, I'm all pissed off. Like she didn't, she didn't mean to do that. But now, I've done what I'm talking about. Now, she lets her excitement out she like does these 360s. And I would much prefer that than like her jumping up on me, you know what I mean? And then after like her third or fourth 360, you could just tell she starts to chill a little bit. And then I'll be like, and then here's the type of affection. So here's the other part of it. If you're trying to teach your people, it's the type of affection that you can give that will also help the cause. So when I give him affection, I'm like, what's up, boy? What's up, man? Instead of like, yeah, dude. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a pretty distinct difference between those two things, because the more I'm like this, dogs just mirror energy, and he's gonna mirror that energy. Next thing you know, he's doing this, and you're like, wait, back the fuck up, man. So you could give a dog an equal amount of appreciation and love by keeping your shit together, then just because he seems to be losing his mind more doesn't necessarily mean he's any more excited to see you. That just means he's actually just mirroring the shit that you're putting off. Don't take it personally. It's just how dogs are. You know what I mean? Your dog is already excited to see you. You just don't want to really, you don't want to pour any like gas on that flame. And so in reference to like creating a little bit more of a calm, understanding dog, this is one of the approaches, and a pretty important one too, because it kind of puts you in more of like a leader. Like when I think about a leader, it's like, okay, a leader really keeps their composure well. A leader is always pretty like right here, an even keel, and the soldiers, they follow that and they feed off of that. And I think that really plays into like the relationship with the dog as well. So anyway, let's talk about the collar that you're going home with real quick. And then I'll put the leash in your hand and kind of show you what a nice structured walk with manners looks like, because that's the first thing that we always talk about is the walk. I want to make sure that this guy understands that when he's on the opposite end of the leash of me and I need control of him, he understands this. But this is the collar. This is called a prong collar, and it's nothing dangerous. It's he's a little bully. He's full of it, and he's very strong-willed, and he has a hard temperament. And so this tool right here just sort of helps us get through to him a little more clearly without having to like be frustrated and all that. Nice calm walk, and this is just on him, and you'll see we don't necessarily have to use it all that much because he's been trained to walk in a nice heel now. But I have to show you how to put it on and off, and I'm going to do it without putting it on him first. The only way to take this on and off is to take a link out. So you have to sort of squeeze that end, and then you kind of just like squeeze it into that end. And then it's all one solid piece. There's no way for it to fail. And I just go to the end like this every time. If I need to take it off, I just push up, I squeeze the tips, and it comes right out. All right. And then when it's time to go to put it on him, now he's all chilling. I just come around like this. I come around. I squeeze those two things, and it's in there like swimwear. And the way that you know it's fitted properly is that you can fit a finger in between the prong and the neck. So it's not too tight, but it's also not loose enough to where it's going to be hanging down here towards his flat. We want to have as much optimal control over his head by making sure that the collar is placed appropriately to where it's all the way up here as closest to his ears as possible. And of course we need to attach the leash to it, so we just kind of spin it around. And the fact that you can spin it around to me tells me that it's loose enough for him. He's already a guy that has a kind of a hard enough time breathing. The last thing I want to do is put a collar on him too tight. Does that make sense? So this is a perfectly positioned, well-placed prong collar. And then you have the little thing that you attach the prong to, or the carabiner to. Let me put your collar on right, dude. Put this through there and get that going again. And so now in my mind, I'm just going to ask him to walk with me. So come on, heel. I just say heel, and I just start walking. Come on, Papa. So you guys are acting as a distraction, and that's fine because there's going to be distractions in life, right? I'm walking now, and if he's like, yo, I want to go towards that, you just keep going. And you maintain relaxation, and you're nice and calm just like this. And I just love his positioning right now. I love where he's at, right? Like right next to me. And if I stop, I kind of want him to acknowledge and stop with me. Now, in the event that he like speeds up and goes past me, the most I'll do is give him like a little notification with the leash. I'll just be like, hey, little leash correction like that. Hey, heel. And when I start the walk, I say a word called heel. Heel is the sound that I make for him to let him know that, hey, the walk has started, and I would prefer that you be at my back heel. Does that make sense? And if I say heel, this is what you're doing, buddy. You're walking in a perfect heel position, just like this. There's no negotiations. I know you might want to do this, that, and the third, but we're healing right now. Place, Sit. Good. Break. Cool. So, Mom, you're up first. Go ahead. I'll turn the camera off so there's no added pressure for you, okay?